Hello students, this is Miss Nance, and today we're going to talk about scatter plots and associations. So scatter plots are graphs of points meant to show the relationship between two sets of data. Scatter plots can have three types of correlations. We can have positive correlations. So just like if you learned about slope before, it's going to be the same as slope for the most part, or at least for the positive and the negative. Have negative correlations and they go down from left to right. Okay, and then we can have no association, and that just kind of means the dots are all over the place. There's no real association between the two variables here. We can also describe the strength of the association as weak, so that's when the dots are far apart, or we can describe them as strong. That's when the dots are close together. And then lastly, scatter plots can be described as linear. That means it mostly follows a straight line, like the word linear has the word line in it. That means it mostly follows a straight line. We can also describe it as nonlinear. Typically, nonlinear will look like something that kind of like curves at some point. And then we can also make predictions about what type of correlations we would expect to see with specific events. What type of trend line would you expect to see from the following relationship? The number of students in a school and the number of lunches the cafeteria the school makes. I would expect that the more students in a school, would the number go up or down for lunches? Well, it would go up, right? The more students in a school, the more number of lunches the cafeteria would need to make. So just like we talked about up here, if one variable goes up and the other goes up, that's going to be a positive association. Okay, and it also asked us to draw or sketch out what that would look like, maybe something like this. Okay, it's just a sketch, doesn't need to be perfect. Another thing we can do with scatter plots is make predictions based on them. So, for example, we have a scatter plot with the hours worked in a week versus the pay for the week in dollars. So, first things first, I want to go ahead and draw a trend line. So I'm going to just draw a line that kind of goes through the middle of the points. It follows the general trend. This line's a little bit off. It follows the general trend, but it is kind of in the middle of the dots as well. Doesn't necessarily have to be perfect, and I can keep on drawing my line if I need to. In this case, I'm moving it, but on your case, if you're using a piece of paper, you probably just draw it over and over again until you can kind of reach a line that's in the middle of the points. And I can see, okay, I have about the same amount of points above as below. It's mostly in the middle. I think this will work out for me. So then it says if a person works 24 hours, about how much money will they earn? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the axis that says hours worked in a week, and I'm going to find 24 on that axis. Then I'm going to go up and see, okay, where does it meet that trend line? And then I will go across, and you can see, okay, it meets between, well, easily between 200 and 250, but maybe between 225 and 250, somewhere between there. I can either just pick a number or put an estimation, maybe a gap. It really hits, based on my trend line, maybe at around 240 if I wanted to be more specific. But because trend lines are predictions, they're not going to be perfect. You want it to be around this. But as long as your number is like kind of close to where it's supposed to be, that's going to be fine. Okay, so whenever we have scatter plots, your first thing you do is always draw that trend line and then use that trend line to make predictions. So let's say if it asked if a person makes $300, how much would they have worked in a week? Well, we go to 300, you go across, and then we go down. We can see they worked about 30 hours. So you can use it for either axis to figure it out. And sometimes the questions will switch it up a little bit.